Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Now on WRAL, chase and detainments. 2 people are in custody after a foot chase in Raleigh. Why police believe 2 people got out of the car and ran from a traffic stop.
I'm tracking our next weather maker. I'll show you when the rain begins and how many days in a row we can see it, plus active tropics coming up.
Plus, marking 1 year today, North Carolina is still working to recover after Helene devastated the mountains. The local impacts from that storm. A lot to tell you about here on this Thursday morning. We're glad you're up early with us here at 4:30. I'm Renee Chu. Let's get to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner with that rain on the way, and Elizabeth turning into a wetter weather pattern.
It is really. As we take a look at the weekend, it looked like maybe Friday would be the wettest day. Now it looks like that's shifting to Saturday. Here's a look at the cold front. It's across Tennessee right now, but we do have some showers that are well ahead of it. We take a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar, and you can see from Greensboro down to the south a little bit of rain. Some of that's likely to move through our viewing area this morning. What we see for the first part of the day is going to be fairly patchy and light, but as we get into the afternoon, we're going to see some scattered thunderstorms, and some of those could produce some brief heavy rain for us. Here's a live look at RDU. It is cloudy this morning, very warm and muggy. 76 is the temperature, dew point sitting at 68, and temperatures will still be warm today. Before all of the rain moves in, we're going to see temperatures back into the low 90s. Let's take a look at the tropics. A lot of things going on. Umberto formed yesterday. That's a tropical storm. This system that's over the Caribbean has a decent chance of developing, and that's the one that potentially could bring us a better chance for rain. But both of these are going to be interesting to watch. This is a look at the model plots. Notice that this one that doesn't have a name yet, it would be Imelda if it does, may get close to us and then shoot out to sea. So a lot going on. We'll talk more about how all of this will affect your weekend and next week coming up.
Tropics very active right now. Elizabeth, thank you. 2 people were detained after an overnight foot chase near Chavis Park in Raleigh. You're looking at video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Police say they were trying to make a traffic stop when 2 people jumped out of the car and ran. This happened just after 11:30. Raleigh police did not clarify why they had to stop the car. They do believe it may have been stolen. It's unclear if the people involved are facing any charges. In the coming days, state leaders will mark 1 year since Helene, celebrating the progress that has been made since that storm's devastation. The storm killed more than 100 people in our state, and it left behind nearly $60 billion of damage. Over the last year, people have been hard at work rebuilding towns, homes, and roads. Locally, Helene spawned an EF3 tornado that caused widespread damage in Nash County. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is in Rocky Mount this morning. And Kelsey, a lot of progress has been made in that shopping plaza behind you after Helene destroyed it.
Yes, Renee, 3 tornadoes ripped through Nash County during Helene, and we're actually standing in the area right now where an EF3 tornado hit in Rocky Mount 1 year ago today. 15 people were injured in that storm. These aerial shots that you're seeing from Drone 5 right now give you a look at some of the damage. 14 buildings were destroyed, including a church and multiple restaurants. Wind speeds peaked at 140 miles per hour, according to the National Weather Service. And just days after this tornado hit, linemen from Rocky Mount were sent to western North Carolina. They worked to restore power for hundreds who were devastated after Helene. Electrical line supervisor Cody Melvin remembers the communities he served in the mountains.
A lot of people hadn't been hit that hard. They talked about hurricanes that were a long time ago, that it had been a while since they got hit like that. They were very appreciative. People were willing to do whatever they could to help out, make sure we had what we needed and stuff like that. So it was nice to see the neighborhood come together.
And we're taking you back to this live picture now of one of those restaurants that was destroyed during that EF3 tornado here in Rocky Mount during Helene. You can see that the restaurant is just fine now. They were able to rebuild. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Rocky Mount.
Tonight, WRAL marks 1 year since the disaster with a new documentary focusing on families and communities changed forever. Helene, What We Lost, What We Found airs at 7:30 p.m. on WRAL and wherever you stream WRAL. In 10 minutes, Ali Calabar will give us a look at where the push for recovery funding stands today. The maintenance director at Granville County Schools says a mold issue is forcing a school to close. Could have been prevented years ago. A Granville Academy staff member reported concerns of mold at the campus last month. And according to test results that came back this week, more than 60% of surface samples and 80% of air samples taken showed mold. The school board decided to relocate all students to GC Hawley Middle School in Creedmoor. Last night, the director of maintenance expressed his thoughts on what went wrong.
Unfortunately, in our district, budget often dictates where that money's spent from year to year. Not to say that was the case here during that time, but yes, ma'am, it was definitely a deferred maintenance issue that over time is starting to catch up with us.
Deferred maintenance. The school board plans to move students and staff from school to school in phases. The last move will be either during winter break or next summer. The Department of Homeland Security is increasing security at ICE facilities across the country after a shooting at the field office in Dallas that killed one person. Two other people are in critical condition. Police say 29-year-old Joshua John fired from a nearby rooftop. He took his own life after the shooting. The FBI released images of a shell casing found near him with the words anti-ICE on them. The acting director of ICE says the shooter was not targeting anyone in particular.
Shooter obviously didn't know who was in the vehicle. He was just randomly shooting at windows into vehicles that he already seen down there.
The shooter's brother told NBC News John didn't have strong feelings about ICE as far as he knew, and that his brother was not a marksman, that's for sure. His quote. President Donald Trump blamed Democrats in a social media post saying, "I am calling on all Democrats to stop this rhetoric against ICE and America's law enforcement right now." Breaking news. Let's give you a live look right now at a police investigation going on in Wake County. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker is at a smoke shop on Timber Drive. You can see the broken glass on the door there. Forensics left the scene just moments ago after taking photos of the scene. We've reached out to police about this and wanting to get more information, and we'll bring you any details as we learn more there at that smoke shop on Timber Drive. Hours from now, President Donald Trump will sign a deal facilitating the sale of TikTok to a group of American investors. Once the deal goes into effect, TikTok's U.S. operations will be run by a new joint venture company. Chinese-based company ByteDance will then hold less than 20% of the stock of the new company. The deal complies with a bipartisan law passed last year. That law sought to ban TikTok if the platform was not sold to U.S.-based owners this year. A team from the state auditor's office traveled to Rocky Mount. This comes after the city announced a major financial crisis. Rocky Mount says it spent millions more than it brought in every month for more than 2 years. And it needs to reduce spending by roughly $30 million over the next 10 months. The city says utility bills will go up and city employees will be laid off to make up for the shortfall. Only on WRAL, Nash County Board Chair Robbie Davis gave new insight into where he thinks the finances went astray. He says Rocky Mount's decision to raise salaries for police officers was commendable, but not realistic.
When they elevated their police department salaries a very large amount, I knew at the time it was non-sustainable based on revenue that they had. But they just didn't understand what they were doing.
City officials have pointed to the city manager as a potential source of where finances were mismanaged. But Davis says he thinks ultimately the buck stops with elected officials. For more reaction, go to WRAL.com. Fayetteville's primary election is less than 2 weeks away. Tonight, the candidates will speak directly to voters. Candidates for mayor and city council will gather for a forum tonight. That will be at the Kiwanis Recreation Center over on Deaver Street at 6 p.m. Urban Ministries of Wake County and Walgreens are partnering to host flu clinics in Raleigh. Today's clinic will run from 2 to 5 at the Urban Ministries office over on Capitol Boulevard. They will also hold 2 more clinics. There will be one next Tuesday and one on October 9th. Both will be from 2 to 5 p.m. A plane went off the runway late last night while landing in Virginia. It happened just after 10 p.m. at Roanoke Blacksburg Airport. Officials say the United Airlines flight was coming in from Dulles Airport. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. The airport closed all runways as authorities responded. An investigation is underway. 4 people are recovering this morning after a chemical barrel explosion in Kentucky. This happened yesterday at a factory that produces dairy products. Firefighters say the chemical that exploded is corrosive and can cause significant health issues with direct contact. All 4 workers are expected to recover. It is 4:40 on your Thursday. Helene funding setbacks. State leaders are having trouble getting federal dollars to the mountains. How their push against FEMA cuts is moving forward today. And sharing a hug. A North Carolina deputy helps a woman turn her life around. The positive result that came out of this tense traffic stop. Plus, we are tracking rain chances. This is a live look at Carr Lake in the distance. Just ahead, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will show us the timeline for potential storms this evening.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:44. Taking a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. There's a broken line of rain that's just to our west. No thunder and lightning with this right now, but it's about to move into Chatham County, moving into Alamance and Orange counties. And so that's going to move through and at least bring us a little bit of light rain for the first part of the commute this morning. It's just a 20% chance early on. Once we get into the afternoon, we're going to see that chance bumping up to around 40%. We do have the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms. We're going to take a look at our level 1 risk coming up. 71 in Wilson, 76 Durham, 74 in Fayetteville. Nothing wet right now, but again, we may see some of those showers pushing in later this morning and then this afternoon as well. It was a hot day yesterday. It's still humid out there. And before much of the rain begins, our highs will be able to climb into the low 90s. Coming up, we're going to talk more about the cool down with the rain coming.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Today, the call for federal help to fund Helene recovery takes another step forward. State lawmakers say cuts to FEMA are hindering that effort. WRAL's Ali Kadlubar is live at the state legislative building this morning. Ali, the state is asking for tens of billions dollars more.
Renee, we're going to hear from state leaders and lawmakers today because there's $44 billion unfunded, and counties are still dealing with devastating damage as well as making up for financial losses. The state has requested money from the feds to cover about half of that damage. The federal government has approved 10% of that, and a portion is from FEMA, and we know FEMA now has to follow a new approval process. In a hearing yesterday, lawmakers expressed frustrations from the government.
People of our mountain counties have shown extraordinary courage. They have carried each other through grief, rebuilt roads with their own hands. But the biggest storm still hammering North Carolina is not Helene. It is government failure.
Now, within the past 2 weeks, FEMA has approved tens of millions of dollars in funding for Western North Carolina. But leaders and lawmakers today are meeting at 11 a.m. to press the federal government for more funding. Reporting live in Raleigh, Ali Kadlubar, WRAL News.
Ali, thank you. Looking ahead, tomorrow, Governor Josh Stein, along with state and federal leaders, will tour the I-40 reconstruction zone. Also on Friday, federal highway officials in the National Park Service will hold a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Blue Ridge Parkway in Asheville to celebrate the progress on repairs. A Cabarrus County woman is sharing her story of how a sheriff's deputy turned a tense traffic stop into a heartwarming moment. Caitlin Ruccini was pulled over for speeding. She says that hug and that act of kindness from the deputy saved her life. WRAL's Willie Danley spoke to her and has the story.
Give me a hug? Yeah. Come here. A heartwarming moment that Caitlin Ruccini says changed her life. In March, she was pulled over for speeding in Cabarrus County.
And he walks up to the car and, he asks all his usual questions. And to his questions, I just gave him attitude.
Ruccini says due to her history with law enforcement, she had her guard up when Deputy Sean Singleton approached the car.
Day, so
I understand that.
Getting pulled over on a day is not fun.
No, I can understand that completely. Okay, but I'm trying to be nice and courteous to you, and I'm getting a lot of heat.
I could tell something was going on, I just asked a question. and sometimes it elicits an answer that you expect, and sometimes it elicits an answer that you don't expect.
That's when Deputy Singleton asked Ricchini if she needed a hug, a small gesture that she says went a long way.
I just find myself, pouring out my heart to him, telling him how hard it's been and, that I had to give up my son back in December and that I was, down here trying my very best to stay clean and sober so I could get him back.
6 months later, Ricchini has gotten custody of her son and says the interaction with Deputy Singleton played a big role in keeping her on the right path.
He saw me as a person and not an addict, and he saw someone who was in distress, and he saw someone who really needed that hug that day.
Willie Danley, WRAL News.
What a wonderful story. So many great takeaways from that, right? Taking the time to show a little compassion, kindness, and just listening to people and just giving everybody grace. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Okay, we finally have rain coming our way, Elizabeth, and where is it now and when might we see that rain?
So we have a cold front that's back here across Tennessee and Kentucky, but there's rain well ahead of it that we're going to see this morning. At least some of us will. We'll zoom in here and take a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar. And you can see some showers back here across parts of Alamance County. So headed toward Orange County, we're going to see some of that in Person County as well as Chatham County and Moore County. Those are of course, our far western counties. We'll see that first. This is also lifting to the north, so not everybody may see this. If you're, say, Fayetteville to Goldsboro, this may just sort of travel to the north. It's not being handled very well by the computer models, but definitely this afternoon we'll have an even better chance, and that's when we'll have the possibility of some severe storms as those thunderstorms develop later on today, especially for our counties from the Triangle area westward. We'll jump on out to lunchtime, and at lunchtime there may be a few breaks in the clouds. It's going to be another hot and humid day. By early afternoon, we start to see some cells develop, especially along and east of I-95 there, and then another round potentially around 9 to 10 o'clock. So several waves will come through this evening to bring us a chance for rain. Some of it will be heavy at times, and there'll be some blustery winds. As we get into the weekend, we're going to be watching this system, which if it develops, it'll be Imelda. Of course, we have Berto and Gabrielle. Gabrielle's not going to be anything that we're concerned about, but these two together could bring us a good bit of moisture for the weekend. We're going to watch the paths. Notice that we don't necessarily have a landfall with either of these, but they can still feed us a lot of tropical moisture. Saturday and Sunday are looking wet now, 60, 70 to 80% chance for rain. This morning, we've seen a few light showers here around Carr Lake, so the street is wet. Our temperature 76 and our dew point 68, so it's a very tropical feel this morning. 72 South Hill, 76 Raleigh, 74 Fayetteville, 74 in Apex and Knightdale. So we're mostly in the mid 70s, which feels a whole lot like summer. It is going to be another hot day today. Temperatures in the low 90s in the Triangle, mid 90s there in Fayetteville. But by tomorrow, as we see more clouds and rain, the temperatures drop. And look at that, a string of 70s in our forecast. Coming up, we'll talk about how much rain we could see this weekend.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Series postponed. Apple TV is not releasing its limited series, The Savant, tomorrow as scheduled. Why the lead actress says she's opposed to that delay. Plus, Chimney Rock recovery. The village's mayor is encouraging people to support his town destroyed by Helene. The progress going into the busy fall tourist season. Today in entertainment news, the magic of Oz and a last-minute postponement. Here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
Here's the plan. I have no plan.
Well, I do.
Oh, thank Oz.
The final trailer is out for Wicked for Good, the conclusion of the big screen extravaganza based on the Tony Award-winning musical starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, flies into theaters November 21st.
Apparition miraculeuse, une jeune fille dit avoir vu la Vierge.
Bernadette of Lourdes, the musical, is in U.S. theaters this Sunday and Monday, commemorating the 100th anniversary of St. Bernadette of Lourdes' beatification. More info and tickets at fathomentertainment.com.
It's going to be a coordinated mass attack. Locked and loaded, been planted for months. The hunt has begun.
Not quite. Apple TV Plus has postponed the launch of its limited series, The Savant, inspired by the true story of a woman who infiltrates online hate groups to prevent attacks. It was scheduled to debut Friday. Executive producer and star Jessica Chastain posted on Instagram she's not aligned with the decision to postpone, writing, "While I wish this show wasn't so relevant, unfortunately it is. The Savant is about the heroes who work every day to stop violence before it happens, and honoring their courage feels more urgent than ever." No word yet from Apple on a new release date. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Chimney Rock, North Carolina is seeing real improvement nearly a year after Helene. The storm buried the town under feet of mud and debris. Now business owners are preparing for the busy season. Mayor Peter O'Leary says they expect 90% of the shops to be back open this fall.
Everybody that comes in, I mean, it's everybody I talk to says we're here to support you, and that's just so uplifting.
Tourism in Chimney Rock is still down after being closed for months. The mayor says even doing half of last year's sales would be a win. 4:57, marking 1 year. Today, North Carolina still working to recover after Helene devastated the mountains. Ahead at 5, the local impacts of that storm. And new security measures, metal detector wands, are coming to a local high school football game. The demands for safety improvements after a shooting. And a foot chase and capture. 2 people are in custody after a foot chase in Raleigh. Why police believe those 2 got out of the car and ran from the traffic stop.